let's go ahead and get started here on our, welcome everybody here for City Council. And we're starting a little early because we got to end this early.
Is that echo? Got an echo.
So I've asked Richard Johnson to come up and give us our inspirational message and prayer. So if you'd like to come up now, Richard. No, you just stand right in front. You get to address us. The TV will catch you. So you just stand right there. Look right, because look at my pretty face. There you go.
Well, that's good. Well, I just want to thank all you, brother, for serving while you in these capacities. They're all kind of thankless jobs, and after doing that for some time, I admire all of you for your service, and thank you. While I was a public servant at one time, there was a scripture that I thought related to how we should function as public servants. It comes from Proverbs 3, verse 5 and 6. I'd like to share that with you. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Brothers, if you think of that when you make decisions and know you're in the service of your Father in heaven and your fellow servants, you'll always do well. I'll leave that with you, and I'll give you a word of prayer.
Thank you.
Our Father in heaven, as we humbly bow our heads this evening as we open the City Council meeting, we're indeed thankful for the opportunity we have of living in this great land and having the opportunities of democracy that affords us and the representation and service of these fine brethren we greatly appreciate. We ask that thy guidance and spirit be with them, that as they deliberate, make the decisions, that they do it with the knowledge that thy understanding of the best interest of all thy people. We ask thee, brother, to watch over and protect them and make their lives worth the blessings that they receive. And we ask thee to watch over this valley and protect the people that live here. We're thankful for all that we have, and we ask for these things humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Thank you,
Thank you,
Richard.
Doctor. Thanks.
I've asked Councilman Scopes to give us the Pledge of Allegiance.
The audience, please rise. Repeat the pledge with me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Public comments. Anyone that'd like to come and address the mayor and the council at this time, you can. Seeing none, we'll move on. Let's go to council comments. Councilman Mendenhall.
Our best dressed, the best dressed chamber director in the state, Clark Karras, can give us a quick chamber minute of what's happened and what's coming up in the chamber, if that's okay.
Did you say quick?
I said
Okay,
quick.
okay.
but
I just want to make sure you heard
I
that.
also said best dressed.
Being Greek, there's nothing quick. Hey, first, we, on behalf of the chamber, just want to thank Spanish Fork City and its citizens for the Easter egg hunt, and the council and the mayor that showed up and made sure that we made sure there were no children crying, but there were a couple of parents. But we had 10,000 eggs. We had over 40 bikes, trikes, and different things, and we were able to this year for the first time share some of those goods with Salem in giving them 2 bikes, 2 trikes, and 2 razors, as well as eggs. I don't know how many of you take the Daily Herald, but this was the ad encouraging people to get off and to follow the trail of the Spanish fathers to the Payson Temple dedication. The Chelan Reception Center was and is right now the business of the month, and we've appreciated them tremendously and met with the councilman's parents last night to go over some things to hopefully help out with the choir presentation that'll be part of Fiesta Days, and we're looking forward to that. So,
Great.
thanks very much.
Hey, thank
Thanks,
you.
Thanks, Clark.
That's it, Mayor.
Councilman Scobes.
Mayor, the only thing to report on, just recent meetings with the Veterans Council. Things are going well there. They're still working through issues being a newly formed council, but are trying to find ground to be able to work with all veterans organizations in the city. We'll keep you informed with that progress. And then the airport board, just working towards phase 3 of the apron improvements, runway improvements, as well as apron projects around with the asphalt. Nothing new there. We have an upcoming meeting on the 30th, and more to report with future meetings. That's all.
Great, thank you. Councilman Dart.
I will pass tonight.
Thank you. Councilman Davis.
I will pass tonight too.
Oh, double thank you. Councilman Commissioner Gordon.
I want to introduce some new friends.
Oh, yes. That's
And I'll let them sort of introduce themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Allison Isaac, and these are my beautiful attendants. I'm Jordan Reed.
I'm Kristen Young.
And we are very excited to represent Spanish Fork City this year. My platform is Disconnecting Devices to Reconnect Relationships. And I've partnered with the Play Unplugged program, and we have some amazing things going on this year that I'm really excited to be a part about. And we're really looking forward to a great year.
great.
We're excited for you too.
Thank you.
That was a
Yeah.
good pageant.
That was a great pageant. Once Brandon got his glasses on, everything went well.
They,
know.
you can tell them everything. They had no idea what was going on out there. They were running around like
That was
crazy
awesome.
that night, huh?
We appreciate you guys representing the city, and we're looking forward to this coming year and great
Her
things.
too.
Thank you so much.
Days.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, and I'll forego my stuff too. Let's move down to consent items. Reader's Digest version.
Okay, the first item is the easement agreement with UDAC Properties. This is for the site where the Chick-fil-A is intended to go. We need an easement for a pressurized irrigation line along that site. It was a condition of of the approval of the site plan. So, any questions on that? The next one is the change order for the 1700 East, 2200 South guardrail project. We had budgeted in next year's budget to do a guardrail on 1400 East. This simply takes that money, which is already in a B&C road account, moves it up and does it this year based upon our existing guardrail bid on 1400 East. Any questions about that one?
Give me something to,
We had someone go off the hill there and that kind
oh,
of
come on.
instigated a look at that. Okay, professional services agreement, we're just updating them all. This is the one that we have with Stantec. We've done that several times. Phase 3 runway extension quality control testing contract with Terracon. They're the ones doing all of the density tests, soils tests over on the airport extension project, and this will just extend that contract to the next phase, or the final phase. Any questions about that? Okay, UDOT and PC contract for curb and gutter sidewalk project on 400 North. We got a 100% funded project to put curb gutter and sidewalk on the south side, going under US 6 for safe. We're using safe sidewalk funds, and this is the contract that we have with UDOT to hire PEC to do the design and on all of that. We get together with a group of UDOT engineers, and we go through a selection RFP process, and this is PEC was selected from that. Any questions about that? Okay, scenic development and corporate reimbursement agreement is Junior's. You want to talk about that one, Junior? Scenic development reimbursement agreement? Okay, so scenic development is doing some utility work, which they can be reimbursed for via connectors agreements. And so we line that out, whichever entity benefits from that, then we guarantee that we will collect that and reimburse them for it when development occurs in that area.
Great.
Sierra Park bid approval to, okay, that's the one. Scenic Development is realness blocker? Oh, okay. Sierra Park bid approval to Landmark Excavation. We bid out the Sierra Park to be constructed. The bids were, I believe, after we took out the roundabout costs, around $48,000 over on Parks and Rec and about that much over on storm drain. Because of that, we have funds approved in this and next year's budget, which a lot of the work will actually be paid for when we're into next year's budget. But because it is over that amount, in this year's budget, we need the city council to approve that bid award.
Was there a bonus agreement with this contract?
Yes, yes. For, I believe it was $50,000 for the bonus. And we did some checking, and we are told by all of the contractors that bid on it, that we talked to, that this contractor has receiving that bonus in their bid. Like, they didn't bid more because of the bonus, so it didn't cost. We only bid, in the last couple of years, we've only bid 2 projects without the bonus, and both of them went way over on their time, and we struggled to get them done. All the rest get done immediately. And in fact, on this one, because it was not approved in the last city council and meeting on the 7th, we are asking that you add 2 weeks to when they can get that bonus, to be fair on
What do you
it.
think?
So sorry, I'm going back, we're giving a bonus, do we give a penalty for not doing it on time?
We do have a penalty on there. Those penalties, and this is why we went to the bonus, those penalties are rarely enforced. You usually have to go to court. You have to prove that there weren't any rain days. You have to prove that you didn't have any changes or errors in the plans. Rarely, most engineers you meet have never collected liquidated damages. So, and that's just not Spanish Fork City, that's across the board. I've only done it once in my whole career, collected liquidated.
Well, ask Richard, he gets those penalty clauses all the time.
So that's why we went to a bonus program. We are finding, and we are told over and over again, and we are finding that we are not paying any more for a project because we offer bonuses. But every time we do, they get done on time, they get done well, and we've really had good success with that.
With the bonuses, did that keep in our engineering's estimation of the project?
Yes, yep. In fact, it's almost $100,000 lower than our engineer's estimate, so.
The 200,000 in next year's budget is for the playground equipment, not this project.
So the playground equipment is not in this project, huh?
So with that, we would recommend that you approve this one with the additional 2 weeks on
So this one in reality you'll expend 40,
48,000, I think, is the final amount of what more in the Parks and Rec. I
but
think,
how
is
much
it
more in
impact
storm
fees? It's about that 50 to 60,000.
100,000 plus the 50,000, so you're an additional 150,000 more than budget,
No, it was about 100,000 more than budget.
plus the bonus.
Plus the what?
Bonus
No, the bonus was in the other.
in the budget?
Yeah. The bonus was already in the budget and in the original, so.
Okay.
We always planned on doing the
Is the
bonus.
bonuses included in the bonds?
Mm-hmm. Do we make them bond for the bonus, or do we make them bond for the,
Do you include
is
that?
that your
in-
question?
Yeah, do you include the bonds in whatever the
Oh,
bond?
I don't know the answer to that. But I know that if they don't meet their deadlines, even with change orders, then they don't get the bonus. And so it seems to motivate them to get projects done on time very well. And we have bid dozens and dozens of projects this way and have never felt like we have paid more for them, and we've had such incredibly better success at getting them done. Better quality and on time. And we have had a lot less change orders. They don't have time to mess around with change orders because they don't affect your bonuses.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions on? Okay, so we just asked for you to add the 2 weeks on that one. Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands and Spanish Fork City contract.
Chris has got the majority of these, but I have this one here. It's with our fire department and Utah Division of Forestry. It's a contract we've had in place for several years. Every 3 years, we renew it and just make sure that we're following the guidelines. And so we should ask that you sign this. It's been reviewed by Junior as well as Irma. And although we did have indication that some of the verbiage is antiquated, it does cover us in what we need to have in there.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
I've got 2 items. The gun club maintenance contract that we previously approved, we had to renegotiate that for $50 more. So that was basically to help cover a liability policy that Mr. Johnson had to purchase. We're still below the original price that he wanted us to come in at, so we felt like that was still a fair price. Are there any questions on that? The second item is the contract for the June Christensen property. Now, this is a 5.8 acre piece just east of Maple Mountain High School. The city currently owns a 3.1 acre parcel right adjacent to it. And with all the development going on up there, Mrs. Christensen has agreed to sell this property to the city at what we feel like is a fair cost. This is going to take place in the next budget year, but she's kind of anxious to get a contract, and so Junior has written up a contract, and that's the one that's in with your.
This one under the power lines?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's right adjacent to that, so you'll actually have 9 acres there when we put it with that. So this is an area that we're a bit deficient in our master plan for parks, and so we feel pretty fortunate to pick this piece up because the development's starting to happen all around that, and the property's going quickly, so. She just wanted us to get the contract in place, and then we'll take care of the transaction after July.
By impact fees, that's where the money will
Yes.
come from?
Yeah, this will be an impact fee item. Any questions on that?
There we go, I like that, thank you. Last item, Chris?
CenturyLink?
CenturyLink, or is that Junior, who's consent item, the last L?
I can cover it.
Okay.
As you're aware, the state courts, at least a part of our justice center for the district court, they are coordinating with CenturyLink to link all of their courts together, and they're using CenturyLink to do that. And so this is just a contract that gives them permission to come into our building to hook the court up. It's fairly standard in the industry that we would accommodate a tenant in that matter. I actually tried to get them to use our service, but since we're limited to just our city and they're trying to link statewide, it didn't work.
Well, let's expand a little bit there. Great, thank you. All right.
Motion to approve the consent items.
Second.
Got a motion.
Adding 2 weeks' time to landmark excavation for the Sierra Park.
Very good. Got a motion by Councilman Gordon, a second by Councilman Mendenhall. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that'll pass. Since Title 15 amendment's been continued, we'll go to Legacy Farm zone change, proposed change from RI 15 to R1 12 zone to the R112, and R19 zone property.
Mayor, do you mind asking the council to make a motion to continue the Title 15 amendments to the council's meeting on the, be the 19th, I think, of May?
So moved.
Second.
I didn't even get to ask him. Did it. Got a motion by Councilman Davis, a second by Councilman Gordon. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? How's that? Is that better?
Thank you.
Okay.
Got a couple of different items that are tied to the Legacy Farms proposal tonight. First of all, zone change. Mayor just described the essence of it, as well as proposed master plan development. It's a preliminary plat. And some of you might have noticed recently that we added an addendum to the development agreement that I'll talk about briefly. First of all, some of you were on the council when we approved this originally a few years ago. And to talk about the zoning, in short, when the project was approved, it was approved with the maximum number of units that was allowed under previously existing provisions of the city's ordinance, particularly a part of the ordinance that allowed master plan developments to get bonus density. So a number of units could be included in a project that went above and beyond kind of the average density. And in short, as many of you know, we've changed that program, so no longer is it possible for projects to receive bonus density. And with that, as these applicants have made application to have this project's approval amended, they need to conform to the rules that are in place today. The only way to get the same number of units as what was originally approved is to change the zoning, essentially upzoning the property so that the density with the underlying zoning districts can be higher than it was before. That doesn't mean that any more units will be allowed in the project. In fact, they're at the maximum with this proposal as what would be allowed with the zoning that's represented here. This is the proposed zoning, going from R112 and R115 to R19 and R112. So even if this project went away entirely and the zoning remained in place, and we saw a completely new application for preliminary plat approval, still the same ceiling on the number of units that could be included in the project would exist now as what the project was originally approved for. Do you have any questions about that?
Even with the R3 down there by the commercial area.
The R3, that has been part of the project from the first approval that you made, as well as the commercial 2 zoning. So none of that's proposed to change, just the R112 and R19 sections. So with that said, the proposed preliminary plat has been modified from what the council approved originally. I wouldn't call the modifications drastic. A few changes to street layouts. We've worked on getting the road alignment for Spanish Fork Parkway adjusted, as now we're anticipating a different alignment where that will intersect with 400 North and tie into 2550 East. A lot of discussion was had with the original approval relative to design guidelines, standards for architecture, and different things related to that. Those standards essentially are identical to what was originally approved. The phasing plan has changed quite a bit by way of the approach. Some of you remember there was some pretty detailed instruction provided with the original approval about how development was to proceed. That's been replaced by what for me are almost conditions that are represented on one of the pages that you have in the staff report. Apologize, it's maybe a little difficult to read. But phasing requirements that spell out the different amenities, different road sections, different things like that that need to be built as the development hits certain thresholds. So for example, one of the parks needs to be constructed when the development hits 298 lots. Another park needs to be constructed when the development hits a total of 480 lots or units, and so forth. Road sections likewise are kind of identified by way of what needs to be built and when, with that same kind of a program in mind. So again, not dramatic changes from that perspective. And in order to make sure that the approval that we're proposing that you make tonight kind of covers all of our bases, city attorney has prepared the addendum that I mentioned just a minute ago. And in short, the idea there simply is to make this proposal with these phasing requirements, again, what I view as kind of the conditions for the project, consistent with the concept. It's what the council approved originally several years ago. So with that, first of all, on the zoning, both the Planning Commission and Development Review Committee have recommended that the zoning be changed to what's identified there on that map. And secondly, both of those bodies as well have recommended that the master plan development be approved, the preliminary plat for Legacy Farms, subject to these phasing requirements being met. I might add as well that the existing design guidelines being followed, and we would expect those two things to be represented with the addendum that the city attorney's prepared. All parties involved in the project, we would expect them to sign that addendum. Mr. Baker mentioned that he had some question, for example, about one of the groups that we're working with now, just exactly who, for example, is responsible to sign for Fieldstone Homes and some of the other parties involved. So that's something that I think we still need to get straightened out. I wouldn't expect the applicants would have any concerns working with us on that. So with that said, again, the recommendation is to approve the zone change and the preliminary plat, really just subject to the conditions that I've touched on with the phasing requirements and the design guidelines being identified in the addendum or with the addendum to the development agreement, and that's it.
Okay, this is a public hearing.
It is.
Okay. All right, I'd entertain a motion to go into a public hearing for the zone change.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Scobes, a second by Councilman Dart. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? If not, this is a public hearing. Anyone that would like to come and talk about the zone change of Legacy Farm, you're welcome to come up.
A lot of people down there.
Yeah, there is a lot of.
Somebody ought to get up here and say something.
I wouldn't. All right, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
Got a motion by Councilman Gordon, a second by Councilman Scobes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any other discussion?
Dave, come on up here a little bit. You know, we're talking where we've changed it now where it doesn't go in phases anymore, but with lots. Does that include, since we've got two contractors involved in this, does this include both of them working together on that? So when they get to that certain party, then that kicks in a park or whatever?
Yeah, I think from the city's perspective, the role that we play with our side of the agreement, we're blind to who a developer of a particular phase is or a builder or anything like that. Without regard to who it is, when those thresholds are met or when they do a certain phase, whoever happens to be at that point requesting maybe a final plat approval or whatever the case might be, they'd be responsible to meet these requirements.
Does that include the houses already built? Those numbers?
Those are part of the threshold, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Should be.
Yeah, going back to Richard's question, we're looking at the project as a whole, and preliminary plat is submitted to us that way. So the fact that, they've got multiple owners, it's not going to matter. So that's one of the reasons why we've done an addendum. Dave didn't touch much on that, and it really fits more with master plan preliminary and that approval more than the zoning, but it fits in well with your question. So what that addendum says is there's new conditions with the plat approval, and those will supersede anything in the existing agreement. But other than that, everything in that existing agreement will hold. And that existing agreement is pretty clear that it's one project, and it's being presented tonight as one project. So, yes, it won't matter who's doing it. Once they hit those thresholds in any of the number of phases,
Then that kicks up whatever, the parks
Yes.
or whatever that goes into effect.
Yes, and I believe they understand that. Ones I've talked to understand that.
And everything else road with material lists and everything else that we talked about,
Yes, everything that's in,
everything else stays the same.
everything in that initial agreement is the same, except the conditions that are presented tonight with the master plan approval. Okay, so if you approve that with those conditions, those will be on the plat, they'll be recorded with the various plats, and those will supersede the other conditions where applicable. Other than that, everything in the existing agreement remains the same.
Any other questions?
I just have a question. Like, I'm okay with the zoning, but I have a comment on the phasing requirement. Is that coming up next, or is that part of this?
That's what we're talking about right now.
Oh, we had public comment. Where
Well,
were you?
No, you said on zoning. They're two different things. The zoning I'm good with, but the phasing I.
What's your question?
Well, I'll comment. Okay, on the phasing requirements, as it states on Slant Road, item 2, it says with phase 3A, that the requirements would be, it would be required to do the improvements on 4th North and Slant Road. And I'd like that changed to prior to recordation of 250 units, then that improvement would be required at that time. And I'm basing that on the old phasing plan. And
I thought that was already on there.
It's in some places, it's not the others. I like engineering was okay with that.
Yeah, I think we,
so I just need that verbiage change from, with 3A to change to prior to recordation of 250 units.
Just for the record.
I'm Julie Smith with Clyde Companies.
Okay, thank you. There you go. Now we'll get the rest of the story. Okay, and you okay with that, Junior and Dave?
I think that's really an engineering issue, so, yeah, it's fine, it goes on with the traffic study.
Okay. All right. Okay,
One maybe quick question, somebody can point this out to me, but there's discussion about the disconnect of Slant Road, and it looks like during planning and zoning, not DRC, but planning and zoning, now I'm trying to find it. Having the disconnect of Slant Road will decrease the traffic on Slant Road coming from Mapleton, so is the Spanish Fork Parkway, the big road, main road going in there, that's gonna be a connection to Slant Road, right?
no,
So Slant Road, the road,
eventually, Slant Road will eventually go away and be part of the, isn't that how it's supposed to, isn't that how
Yeah,
it's
it'll
designed?
terminate here.
Yeah,
Traffic will be routed down to 4th North this way instead of,
what will that be to get to those residences?
it'll be part of the development, the road itself, some of it. Slant Road, won't it?
right,
This
just
part, yeah.
there and,
That's right.
and here.
But other than
But
that,
there
it
will
goes down
be-
Spanish Fork Parkway.
Nothing in the middle of it.
Correct. No connection in between.
Not be able to slant on Slant Road anymore.
there will no be slant.
Be dog-leg road.
Dave? Hey, while you're up here, there was some talk about the trail being dirt versus asphalt and that, as I just kind of read through this. Did that ever get resolved? Or is that still planning on being dirt in here? I didn't see where that was addressed further.
Yeah, we talked at one point in time about some temporary facilities for pedestrians. For example, adjacent to a site that the school district owns, they've told us that in all likelihood, someday they'll construct a junior high right here. So for a few different reasons, we talked about creating a route for pedestrians from this part of the development down to 400 North along that frontage with some kind of a temporary path, like road base or something like that. I think that's what you're talking about. That's the only discussion that I remember.
So that's my misunderstanding. I thought that was going to be permanent walking trail.
So rather than that, along this frontage, when the school district builds a facility here, there'll simply be a sidewalk. But until they build, there won't be anything. Instead, the trail will be part of Spanish Fork Parkway. As I understand it, these applicants will build one half of it, when a certain threshold's hit, the trailer sidewalk on one side of the road. The other side will be finished when development on that side of the road happens. But I think that discussion about, again, kind of that temporary pedestrian connection didn't go anywhere.
Okay.
Wasn't there a discussion saying that this would be more of a hazard if they did that than let them just come right here and follow the sidewalks this way, right now, while the development was going?
And we talked about a lot of different things surrounding that.
Can't remember, you've slept since then, or what?
Once or twice, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily that's a hazard, but at the same time, I guess my opinion on that was putting in a road-based path for kids to walk on. They're in all likelihood going to walk on the asphalt road instead of, adjacent to it on some kind of a temporary facility. So I didn't see a lot of value
Well,
in that
plus
personally.
it dumps it to nowhere. You don't get to a sidewalk when you get to Fourth North anyway. So you go further to the west, you dump it onto another road that has sidewalk.
That's right.
And
That's
then
right.
Spanish Fork Parkway, you dump it south and it'll have sidewalks.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Then I'd entertain a motion for the Legacy Farm zone change.
Did we want to try to do the preliminary plat at the same time? Huh?
Separate motions would be
Okay. Okay.
I make a motion to approve the Legacy Farm zone change, proposal to change from the R1-15, R-1-12 zone to the R1-12 and R1-9 zone for property located in the vicinity of 2200 East, 400 North, along with the discussion of the language changed on the connection to Slant Road after 200, prior to the repredation of 250 lots.
And do we need,
You don't need that with your zoning.
not with the zoning,
Ahead of myself.
but do you need yours that you've been doing?
No, we'll do that with the others.
Okay,
Let me address that when you're done with the zoning.
all right, perfect.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Mendenhall, a second by Councilman Davis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. You want to go to Legacy? Yeah, let's just go to that one first. Talk about it, the
So-
preliminary plat.
Legacy Master Plan Development, and you've seen the layout. Dave explained to you it's not changing the densities. Let me give you a little bit of a background and talk about our addendum here, and we can tie all of this together. So as you recall, this project was approved some time ago. It was done with what we called an development and annexation agreement for the Northeast Bench annexation. And in that, we spelled out the conditions to get annexed and all the conditions for the development. They've done, 3 or 4 phases, and they've found a couple of other buyers, one of whom is a very large home builder in the state, who wants to come and buy some other phases. As they did that, they wanted to change the configuration just a little bit, wanted to change slightly some of the roads. Initially, they had some fairly substantial changes. Those turned out to be modified where they weren't very large, and then they wanted to change the phasing a little bit. So that required a new plat. So they're vested in the existing project that's been approved. They're proposing some changes, which is what's brought all of this to you tonight. So the changes are not changing the density, they're changing the layout a little bit. We thought it would be appropriate to proceed. We're getting some benefit out of it too, particularly with the realignment of the parkway with 2550 East. And so we've recommended approval of that. But as we've gone through that now, 2 things that have come up that we feel we need to address. The first of them is what Richard was talking about, and Mike tried to include in his motion until I stopped him, is we think it is appropriate that we talk about the conditions all in the same language. So instead of talking about phases, we're now talking about what number of units are built, and these amenities will be done. So we think it's appropriate to make that consistent throughout. Engineering has looked at that, and they're okay with that. And I think when it comes down to it, that really is an engineering call, as Dave mentioned. The other thing is when we do a master plan development now under our new ordinance, it talks about doing it in conjunction with a development agreement. So you'll notice the addendum is not a separate action item on your agenda because it ties in with the plat itself. And so what I'd like you to do to approve this is make a motion to approve the Legacy Farms preliminary plat, master plan development with the addendum agreement and with the change, tying all the amenities to number of units rather than the phases. If we get that, then this will be accomplished, and they'll be able to proceed basically as they've been proceeding, but with those minor changes. And keep in mind, if we don't approve it, then they'll just fall back to the earlier agreement and proceed anyway. So we think that this is, probably benefit to both them and us. Questions about any of that? All right, thank you.
All right, if we don't have any other questions, I'd entertain a motion on the Legacy Farm preliminary plat change.
Go for it, Michael.
Make a motion to approve Legacy Farms preliminary plat proposal to approve a preliminary plat for a master plan development located in the vicinity of 2200 East and 400 North in Spanish Fork, adding the language of, that Junior alluded to, of tying the amenities to number of units versus the phases.
Second.
And did you get the amendment? Addendum?
With the addendum to the development agreement.
Same.
All right, we have a motion by Councilman Mendenhall, a second by Councilman Davis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Maple Mountain Estates.
The council approved a preliminary plat for Maple Mountain Estates a few months ago with a layout that looked like this right here. And in short, there's a power line that runs through the property right here that, as I understand it, both city staff and the applicant believed could be relocated. So after the council approved this layout, we discovered that that line needs to stay in its existing alignment, in its existing easement right there, and won't be moved. So the proposal tonight is to amend this approval by approving a new design for the project, this layout here. The line will be located along street frontage right here. Adjacent lots have been made big enough to accommodate a building envelope and that line's easement. I'm guessing you probably haven't inspected that line recently. I'll just mention it's not a really big line, which I think is what led some of us to think that it could be moved pretty easily. But understand it does provide a significant service, and the company that operates it is not interested in having it moved. So
Who is that?
I think it's Strawberry Electric.
SUVPS.
It is SUVPS. Okay, SUVPS.
Be burying the line, or it'd be overhead still?
It'll be overhead still.
Is it on 46? It's a 46, I think, it goes to Springville. So it isn't a small line.
It's not a tiny line.
It's a
At the same time,
it's a transmission line similar to what
Not a
you have in
monster.
Center Street.
Needless to say, it's a pain in the butt to me.
Put it underground.
You want to pay for it?
The mayor does the power stuff, so. Ask more than they can do.
So the poles will be located in the park strip. Lines above the park strip will be in front of homes, along the street. That's how the easement's being accommodated. Access to the line will be available just along the street frontage for this particular street right here. From my perspective, that's not the ideal, but at the same time, we all like having power. We need it, and we accommodate it. So this proposal here has, I believe, the exact same number of lots as what was previously approved. Lots are comparably sized. We as staff haven't seen any reason to not approve the change. So both the Development Review Committee and the Planning Commission have recommended that this revised plat for Maple Mountain Estates be approved, subject to them meeting the same conditions that were in place with the original approval.
Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Maple Mountain Estates preliminary plat.
I move that we approve Maple Mountain Estates proposed preliminary plat revised for property located approximately 2800 East, 400 North.
Got a motion by Councilman Dart, a second by Councilman Scobes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Resolution 15-05. Come on down.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a resolution, by official resolution from Mayor Leifson. Spanish Fork Arbor Day 2015 will be observed twice this year. The first Arbor Day will be held on Wednesday, April 22nd at 10 a.m. at the Sports Park, which is at 385 West Volunteer Drive. Riverview Elementary School students will provide a program there, and then we will plant trees the second one is on Friday, April 24th at 1 p.m. at the Justice Center. This will be held on the traditional Utah State Arbor Day, which is the last Friday in April. So again, Brockbank Elementary will be the school in attendance there, providing the program, and then the students will be involved in planting trees. So all of you gentlemen are invited to attend those. I know we have a conflict on the Friday one, but plan your tree speeches in case you're called upon, and then hopefully you can participate in those with us, as well as the public. Invite anybody to come down and participate in Arbor Day with us. So I don't know where the official resolution is or if it's been written, but.
They've got one on our computer.
Okay. That's the one that's in the packet.
Is it really?
Okay.
So we read that? Or just, is it really? Yeah. Resolution 15-05, a resolution proclaiming Arbor Day, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside. Can I borrow your glasses, Brandon? Set aside, where am I? For the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas in 2015, it is the 143rd anniversary of the holiday, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas the trees in our city increase property value, enhance the economic vitality of our business areas, and beauty of our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas the Spanish Fork City has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation and desires to continue its tree planting practices. Now, therefore, I, Steve Leifson, Mayor of the City of Spanish Fork, do hereby proclaim Friday, April 24, 2015, as Arbor Day in the City of Spanish Fork, and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of this and future generations.
Motion to adopt resolution number 15-05, a resolution proclaiming Arbor Day.
Second.
We got a motion by Councilman Davis, a second by Councilman Gordon. This will be a roll call vote. Councilman Scobes.
Aye.
Councilman Gordon.
Aye.
Councilman Mendenhall.
Aye.
Councilman Davis.
Aye.
Councilman Dart.
Aye.
That passes.
I move we adjourn to redevelopment agency.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Dart and a second by Councilman Mendenhall to go into RDA. All in favor?
Aye.
We are now in RDA.
I
Do
make
have minutes.
motion, we approve the consent items.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Dart, a second by Councilman Davis to approve the consent items. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
The next item on the agenda is to approve by resolution the interlocal agreement for tax increment funding. As you recall, recently, we created a community development area with our redevelopment agency to benefit Young Living Farms as they expand their operation and double in size of number of employees and had about 96,000 square feet to their building. As we did that, we went to the various taxing entities and did interlocal agreements with them where they would participate in some tax increment. We discovered as we did this one in this part of the city that the Springville Irrigation District is a taxing entity that has tax income. We've never dealt with them before, so we were a little late getting started with them. They had a lot of questions. Young Living went and met with them, answered their questions, and so they've also signed that interlocal agreement, but we've never approved that by resolution yet. So we can approve that, the RDA can sign, and this will be the last one that will tie that CDA all together.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the RDA Resolution 15-06.
Motion to approve resolution RDA number 1506, resolution of the Spanish Fork Redevelopment Agency approving an interlocal agreement with Springville Drainage District regarding tax increment funding of the Sierra Bonita Community Development Project area and plan.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gordon, a second by Councilman Davis. Since this is a roll call, we'll make this a roll call vote. Councilman Dart.
Aye.
Councilman Davis.
Aye.
Councilman Gordon.
Aye.
Councilman Mendenhall.
Aye.
Councilman Scobes.
Aye.
That passes. Anything else in there? I'll entertain a motion to go out.
Back into meeting.
Second?
Got a motion by Councilman Davis, a second by Councilman Gordon. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're back. Yes,
No, you don't want to discuss anything,
I don't.
what it says right there.
Oh,
I move we adjourn.
Second.
got a motion by Councilman Dart, a second by Councilman Scobes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you for being here.